Hey everybody, good morning. Happy Tuesday. It is another dreary, cloudy day here. We had 3 shows yesterday. So if you missed one, go catch it on the replay. We had a lot of storms here last night, so I actually went live and just shared my weather with you guys and hung out and talked. So let's see who is in here. Good morning, Janice. Good morning, Gaelic girl. Hello, Uli. How are you? Katie Bird. Chris, what's up? Magoo, hello. Hope everyone's having a good morning. There's just me. Lone Wolf, good morning. How are you? Juicy Tequila Bobo, good morning. Hi, Lisa. Yep, exactly. Love for Lily. Love for Lily. Hi, Kayla. Hi, Stevie. Via Shiner. Hello. Hi, Katrina. So I apologize again. The show that I did, the last show, I think I did 3 shows last week for Lily. And the last show I did, I lost service because I was out of town. And it was a really important show because it's when the chief went live and was telling us that they have a suspect in custody, a juvenile, and that she knows the juvenile. So we didn't get to further discuss, but we will today. We're going to catch up. Hello, Fundaski. Hi, Miss Bree. That rhymed. Hi, Tammy. Hello, hello. Okay, I think I got everybody. If I missed somebody, I'll get you later. So I'm going to go through some comments from the last show. Then we're going to get caught up on Lily's case. And then I have a message from Lily's mother, Jennifer. So hang on. All right. Shirley said, evil doesn't know an age. In grade school, there was a group of kids that were bullies. And if you crossed them or they just didn't like you, they would try to hurt or even try to kill you. God. There were serious situations concerning them. It's very sad, but this type of thing has always been around as long as there have been humans. My prayers for Lily and her family. The suspect, I think by now everybody knows his name. The judge wants everyone to use his initials, which is CPB. I'm not really down with that. Reason being is when they were protecting his identity, they're still protecting his identity. Everybody knows who he is now. Other kids were being blamed to the point like one kid couldn't go to school because the kids in school were saying that he did it, even though there's a suspect in custody. So I'm really not down with this protecting his identity because it's actually put other kids in harm's way. November Day said, when a person commits a brutal murder, there is zero difference from an 11-year-old to a 17-year-old. The kid, she put in quotes, needs to spend the rest of his life in prison. It's just too bad that Wisconsin doesn't still have the death penalty. We're all talking about an evil person. I agree. Now, I do hear that they do have the death penalty, but it's on the books and they don't really use it. If you know different, then please let me know. Please let me know. So I'm going to bring up Shannon, and we're going to get all caught up on this case. All caught up. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning, Brooks. Good morning, everyone.
How is your morning?
It's somber. It's good. I was just praying for the devastation of the tornadoes and poor Lily. This is devastating, and the details are horrendous.
Beautiful Chaos. Hang on. Beautiful Chaos said the death penalty can't be used under 18. Yeah, very good point. Very good point. Oh, Savage is here. She made it through the storms last night.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. Okay, so where we dropped off last week is the chief's announcement that there is a juvenile suspect in custody that Lily knows. So I'm going to play, we saw that. Now I'm going to play when they were in court last week. The suspect, her cousin, is actually going to be back in court. I believe I read May 5th. If I'm wrong, correct me.
It is, I wrote it down. It's May 5th at 4:30. You're correct.
May 5th at 4:30. Okay. Then we hopefully will have an update on Lily on May 5th. All right. So let's go through this video. Hang on. Mm-hmm.
An 8th grade boy is now charged with murdering a Wisconsin girl in the woods. Investigators today revealed disturbing new details about what happened to 10-year-old Lily Peters. Her body was found in Chippewa Falls this week, not far from her aunt's home. WCCO's Kate Reddix explains what we learned about the suspected killer in court.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. He's an 8th grader. And it turns out he's her cousin. What kind of a rage does this kid have to do something so horrific to little Lily, to his little cousin? I don't know, but I think we have a lot of questions we're going to talk about in this community.
The juvenile arrested for the murder of Lily Peters appeared in court via video from a juvenile detention center in Eau Claire. We are not showing his face as part of a court order, and his name was not released. The criminal complaint is also sealed. District Attorney Wade Newell told Judge Lane that the 14-year-old defendant, referred to only as CPB, told law enforcement he went with Lily Peters on the walking trail Sunday with the intent to rape and kill her.
When he did get off of the trail, punched the victim in the stomach, knocked her to the ground, essentially strangled her, hit her with a stick before strangling her to the point of death before he then sexually assaulted her.
The 14
Did you guys hear any of that? Good.
No, I don't have no signal.
No, I had my microphone muted so I could play the video. Okay, so I put up Roxanne's comment. Is the aunt she was visiting the boy's mother? Yes. Carson's mother is Lily's father's sister. And what I was saying is, imagine not only being Lily's father, his nephew killed his daughter. Imagine the grandparents. You obviously have 2 children that are not going to get along now. Okay, probably. And your granddaughter is murdered by your grandson. I mean, imagine that.
I can't even fathom. You know what? It's bad enough, let alone it's not family. But when it's close, it's not like they were estranged. They hung out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this family will forever be destroyed. Forever.
I hope that they get some healing. Because like you said, when it's a stranger, it's bad enough. And here's the thing, before I get back into the video, I want everyone to think about this for a minute. I'm not placing blame. I'm really trying not to point fingers. But when we talked about this case on Monday, and I was going through the news reports, you know, I've been reading basically any article I could get a hold of. There was nothing saying that Lily left the house with her cousin. It was assumed she was alone. How come there was no mention that she was with her cousin? I don't believe that the chief would have said there's a public danger had they known she was with her cousin. Am I off track here?
No, and I think that either he snuck out with her and said, "Hey, I'll just walk you home," and snuck back in, or his mother knew and kept her mouth closed until they were actually knocking down her door and checking for evidence.
And when they did that, and I believe it was from a Reddit subthread, a woman took screenshots from it and sent it to the police. There was someone in there, I've got to look at it again, that saw her with him and was talking about it in this Reddit group. I don't know why he didn't call the police, or she, I don't know. But this woman sent the screenshots over, and of course, then they went to the aunt's house. There might have been other reports from people seeing them together. I don't know. I want to know why all the early articles, everything we saw on Monday and Tuesday morning, before they made an arrest, basically led us to believe that she left the aunt's house alone to go back home. It was believed it was a random stranger. Jennifer Coffindaffer herself said, this seems like a random stranger did this, because there was no report that she was with her cousin. Now, when her father called 911 at 9:00 that night, that might have been a good time for Lori, that's Carson's mother, to say, "Carson, where were you? How big is their house that you don't notice your kid's gone?"
Exactly.
And he had to have had blood on him.
Yep. And we've talked about this before, am I correct? We're talking about, how far would you go to protect your child if they did something like this? Step up, and I think it was the Petito case, step up and make that child face those consequences, and that's family. This is family, that was his cousin, their niece, I hope they didn't know, but something tells me they knew something. And that's just my opinion. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, most of us in here are parents. We either have teenagers or have raised teenagers. You notice when one of your children is not at home.
Mm-hmm.
Especially this many hours. What he did was not a 10-minute deal. This is a horrific crime. This is horrific. This isn't something that just happened really quick. He even told the detectives this was his plan, the words he used from the get-go. Yeah. That's how brazen he is, almost proud of himself. You would notice your child not being home. So I'm very upset that Monday and early Tuesday, every news report was basically saying she left alone. Her bike was found not far from the aunt's house. And then, as we know, she was found Monday morning, not in the condition we hope she'd be found in. Right. But it was never mentioned that her cousin was walking her home. I have a feeling that it was never mentioned to the police that Carson was with her. And I tell you, some of these families, and I mean, it's very common. I shouldn't say some, it's most. Have this, my son would never do that. Or,
mentality.
He's acting kind of weird, or she is, they're just kids. They'll grow out of it.
No. And just think about, what was it? A day and a half, 2 days, that not only was the public scared, but the kids that she was in class with, all the kids that went to the schools, how scared they were, just to know that, oh my gosh, there's a stranger out here who did this. Meanwhile, did mom know? Does mom have a boyfriend, or is there a
She has a
stepdad?
boyfriend. She has a boyfriend. I don't think they're
Yeah.
married. And his Facebook is lit the hell up with people commenting on there. But anyway,
Okay.
again, so you had two adults at home. I'm assuming they were both at home.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they weren't even there. I don't know.
That could be true too.
Just Me said he could have been waiting down the street. That's true. They could just be the type of parents that let the kids just run as they want, and they'll be home for dinner. I don't know. I think that somebody would have seen something different about him. Blood on his clothing. I have a hard time believing he has no defensive wounds on him, even like Thomas. Yep, that's what I was thinking too. Thomas said the mom had to know something. Reminds me of the case out of Jacksonville where the mom washed the clothes to get rid of evidence. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah. That's what my gut tells me. But I mean, like I said, we're just discussing like we always do, and we could be totally wrong. But I have a 14-year-old son. I know when he's had a bad day at school because he comes straight in the house and straight to his bedroom. And I walk in there and I'm like, what's going on? But every parent's different. So I don't know. These are details that I'm sure will come soon, but I just don't see how someone didn't know this. That was in his household.
Yeah, and I'm going back to what you said. They had the school on high alert. The chief himself said there's a public danger. There is a public danger. They're assuming this is a random stranger that grabbed her. There would not have been a public danger. The school would not have been on lockdown had they known he was with her. He would have been, I'm not saying he would have been immediately suspected, but they would have gotten to it a lot faster.
And not told the public, hey, there's nothing to be afraid of. Our community's still safe. But I am proud that the police did that, because a lot of police departments won't do that just to not scare their community. But I am proud that they did do that when they did not know. And I really feel bad for all those kids. They had to be scared. They had to be.
And I'm very impressed with the chief of police, the way he's handled himself, the DA, the judge. We'll get to that in a minute. They're dotting every I and crossing every T. And you're right. A lot of times they won't say there's a public danger because they don't want like a panic. And I think that's very fair to a community. But in this case, the fear was, well, you know what? Hell, he could have done. He could have been a danger to the community. He could have.
He could have too. Yes, absolutely. He could have gone on a rampage or something. We don't know what was going through this kid's mind. Obviously, there's some derangement going on, and the community was at risk at that time. And like you said, I applaud. I mean, from the get-go, this sheriff and this police department has done an outstanding job.
I want to know, they had dogs out that night. Where did they have the dogs searching? Just around the aunt's house or what? Because she was out, unless she got moved sometime overnight. I don't know. How did the dogs not come across her body?
Yeah, I forgot about that. I don't know. Unless, I mean, were they in the right area? Were they close?
Must not have known where she was, because she was found, Monday morning.
Maybe that's what it was. And then of course it got dark that night. So
and May said, I believe he would have killed eventually. Yeah, I think he would have done it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. It gives me the Eric Smith vibes. Remember the kid in the Finger Lakes, New York, that killed little Derek Roby? But this, I mean, it gives me those vibes. But I mean, this kid planned to do this to his cousin. He knows his grandparents love their granddaughter. He knows that his siblings love their cousin. He knows that her siblings love their sister. He knows that his uncle loves his daughter. What, I mean, to inject that type of pain onto your own family? What is going on?
Something. Because I think, like we talked before, and this may not have been anything towards Lily, he had to have been showing signs of some type of aggression, or you know how some kids make really scary drawings or show um just always have a bad attitude. They say really crazy things, like you could tell they're building up mentally, something's going on. Or they're just quiet as can be and they hold all this stuff in until they snap.
That's what I've heard about him, that he was actually just an introverted kid, just very quiet. I don't know. I don't know him, obviously.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm just going off of what I was told. Under Your Scars, cool name, by the way. Hey, we have
Yeah.
new names in here, guys. Hit the sub button. Get reminded. Get reminded. Did mom live with Lily? No, she lives in Eau Claire, and Lily lived with her dad in Chippewa Falls. Okay, I'm going to get back to this video real quick.
Okay.
All right, so on the screen, murder, sexual assault, facing life in prison.
18-year-old suspect faces 3 felony charges, first-degree murder and 2 charges of sexual assault. 2 of the charges have a maximum penalty of life in prison. The defendant, who law enforcement say knew Lily, has dark hair and kept his head down during the hearing. He did not address the court. His attorneys asked for a $100,000 bail.
He is 14 and an 8th grader. He cannot drive.
But the prosecutor wanted a $1 million cash bond, which the judge granted. Multiple law enforcement sat in the gallery of the courtroom. It did not appear any of Lily's family were present.
I try and be the prosecutor I would want if something happened to my daughter. And so that's the way I look at things, and not try to get too emotionally impacted on it, but just be professional and do what is necessary to have justice done.
In Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, Kate Raditz, WCCO 4 News.
The district attorney said that under Wisconsin law, this case will automatically start in adult court, but the defense can ask to have it moved. The next hearing will be on May 5th.
Okay, and I'm wondering if the next hearing is going to be to move it to juvenile court, because I did see another interview. I need to find it. I'll probably play it on the show Thursday when we do an update, where the DA is going through the charges, murder, essay of a child under the age of 13. And how was it worded?
A child under 13 resulting from bodily harm.
Yeah, it's like
first degree sex assault of a child under 13 resulting in bodily harm. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, she had already passed away when this assault happened. So I'm wondering if more charges are going to be put on him.
I would.
I don't know. From what the DA said, and like I said, I'll find the interview. I thought it was going to be on this clip. He said that Carson's attorney can, I think he said, waiver the court to have it moved to juvenile court. He said where there's more rehabilitation there as opposed to adult court. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? I mean, he's an 8th grader. Do you think it should stay in adult court, or do you think it should be moved to juvenile court?
I feel like I would have to know more details of this child psychologically. You know, I mean, is he able to be rehabilitated? As sad and sick as this is, I'm leaning towards more adult court, but like I said, I don't know. We don't know enough about this kid to know what, when, why, you know what I'm saying?
I really hope it stays in adult court so we don't have another Eric Smith situation. Eric Smith has been released from prison. He actually has a fiance.
Oh my gosh.
I have a hard time believing that something this heinous, horrific, and violent can be cured.
That's
Especially,
kind of my thoughts too. It's like, I just don't think you can be. I wanted an adult court, but I wish I knew so much more about this kid.
mhm.
But
Because
yeah,
it's like Sleuth Mom said, adult court, child offenders often get out of prison and reoffend. I believe that. I believe that he
yeah.
would be that way. I believe he would do that.
I mean, he planned the fact that he planned this. How long did he plan this?
That's what I
That
want to know too. He was very nonchalant, very matter
Mhm.
of fact, very brazen. When they got there on Tuesday, knock, knock, start taking evidence out, he told them that was his plan. He even said from the get-go.
That's crazy to me. I mean, I agree with you about the court date, the next court date. I think it is to try to get the judge to keep it in juvenile court because that's what his defense lawyers, that's what they're for. They want to do the quote unquote what's best for their client.
Mhm.
I do pray that he stays in adult court. And if so, do we then, because of his age, are we allowed to see his face, or are they still going to do the behind his head kind of thing, or does that matter?
I think they're going to continue to protect his identity, which I think is dangerous because, like I said last week, I'm sure it's calmed down now. The wrong kids were being blamed. I
Right.
told myself 4 different names. The last name I heard is the suspect's name. They were blaming the boyfriend's son, and I don't know who the other 2 kids are. That's really dangerous. They should not protect his identity. I'm sorry, they
I
should.
agree. I agree.
Shannon, Katrina said the May 5th court date is for appointing an attorney for the 14-year-old. Well, he was there
Oh,
last
okay.
week with an attorney. Is he getting another
Yeah,
attorney?
that's what I thought. Unless it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Yep, that's what it says. That's what it says. I mean,
Mm.
he seemed to be pretty pleased with himself. Can you imagine being those detectives sitting across
Mm.
from a kid, all right, telling you this was his plan? Even said from the get-go, I'm never going to get over that. From the get-go. Imagine sitting in this kid's house, him telling you this was his plan. Punched her in the stomach, strangled her, hit her in the head because there's blunt force trauma in the autopsy. And then, of course, we know what he did after she passed away. It's sick. And he's sitting there telling them.
And these detectives obviously seen the scene of the crime. So they had to be very professional and I bet it was very, very emotional and very hard for them to talk to this kid.
Mm-hmm. Well, and let's look at school shootings. I'm not mixing crimes here. I'm not going to go off on a tangent about school shootings. They tell you the suspect.
Yeah.
They don't protect the identity. I don't know if it's because it's a family situation they're doing this or what, but that's the only thing that these authorities have done in this case that I'm just not down with. Because like I said, other kids got accused and it kind of made life hell for them for a few days.
And that's not fair. And I hope it does get to go to adult court. And then I do hope that they release his name and show his identity. Because you know how kids are and schools are and rumors. And I mean, they just run rampant. That's just the nature of it. And, the kid could already, he's already arrested and still kids might be bothered, especially if they're related to him, Carson.
Well, I
Or
was wondering about that too, because when his siblings go to school, everyone knows what their brother did to Lily. That's going to be very hard for them. Very hard.
Yep. Very hard.
Okay, Katrina said that, so he had an attorney with him representing him last week. So now, I mean, I guess this is going to be his permanent attorney from what I'm understanding.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right, so I'm going to get to this article from the Daily Mail, and it gets more into Carson's past and a little bit about his dad. Hang on.
Okay.
All right, they're at the top. Anybody want to order some checks? Does anybody even use checks anymore?
No.
Okay. Well, if you want to order checks, it's on this article. Okay, so it goes through suffered blunt force trauma. Cousin 14 is charged with her rape and murder, held on $1 million cash bond. I did see some people in comments and they were like, well, that's $100,000 to get out. No, million cash. There's no bonding out. $1 million.
Yeah, when it says cash bond, that means $1 million cash.
Yeah, I said there's no bond. I always get this screwed up, guys. I always do. There's no bail. You can't bail him out. It's $1 million. It's $1 million.
Right.
No, but none of them have got $1 million. No one's going to raise the $1 million. You know what I mean?
Nope. They better not.
Okay, so it says murdered Lily Peters' autopsy reveals she was strangled and suffered blunt force trauma before she died. Police arrested Carson Petersberger, 14, in connection with the murder of 10-year-old Lily. Her body was found in woodland close to a walking trail in Chippewa Falls, northeast of Eau Claire, Wisconsin, on Monday morning. So she had gone missing on Sunday night after being at her aunt's house. Again, I want to know how the aunt did not realize that Carson was away from the house during the time Lily went missing. I that's just not sitting right with me.
Or did he say, hey, I'm going to walk her home?
But see,
Can
that's
I
what I'm
walk her
saying.
home?
If he said that, then that should have been reported to the police.
Exactly.
In all the news articles, it was put out there that she left alone. She left her aunt's house. It didn't say she left her aunt's house with her cousin. So that's the reason it was, public danger. And it was, I mean, like I said, even Jennifer Coffindaffer, she's retired FBI, said this is going to be a random stranger because it was never reported that she was with him.
Then that means the aunt told the authorities she left this house alone. Whether she knew or not, that means she had to tell the authorities, nope, she left alone.
Yeah.
Like, think about that.
And that could be all the knowledge she has. Crime Time said, I would think my 14-year-old was riding his bike at a neighbor's house. I would too, until I got a phone call saying that my niece is missing. I'd say, hey, did you happen to see her out? Did you see her around? I'd have some questions.
Yep.
I'd be like, I would never naturally assume that my child was responsible. Don't get me wrong. But
no, but I would at least speak up.
Yeah. All right. Okay. In court, prosecutors said he planned to rape and kill the victim from the get-go when he left the house with the victim to go down the trail. So he's telling them he left the house with her to go down the trail. Now, he left the house with her. So did nobody in that house, he's saying it himself, he left the house with her. So when Lily says, bye, Aunt Lori, bye, and all that, bye, everybody, and he left the house with her, did nobody notice him leaving with her?
I'm like you. I have a hard time with that.
Okay, so then it's kind of a recap. Murdered 10-year-old Lily Peters died from blunt force trauma and was strangled. Her autopsy shows the girl's remains were found in woodland near Chippewa Falls on April 25th after she went missing during a bike ride the day before. Well, she wasn't really on a bike ride because, the daily fail is what I call it. Sometimes there's some things that they just really miss. Her bike was found somewhere near the aunt's house. She was found off the trail, if I'm reading this right.
That's what has me confused.
Why?
It just, how did you it makes me think, where did this take place? Was it where they found her? And if so, how did you get her off her bike to leave her bike where her bike was? And how far apart was that?
I'm just going to assume she's a trusting little girl and she's with her cousin and he just said, leave the bike here.
And I'll walk you home since I'm walking too.
Yeah, because I'm walking
Yeah.
or, you know,
Right.
Okay. He added the autopsy on Lily showed the manner of death was homicide, and he said he expected the results of toxicology tests, which will include DNA samples and more evidence on her alleged rape within 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh,
Lily's cousin, Carson Petersberger, 14, was arrested on suspicion of murdering and raping the 10-year-old fourth grader. And again, we hear about the $1 million cash bond. He's facing a possible life sentence, and I hope he does. There's little Lily, absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful,
so
beautiful.
cute.
Okay, so here's Carson.
Mm.
And I will put this link up to this article in the Crime Lines and Lies Facebook group, and I'll put it in Discord too. If it's not already there, I'll do it again. All right, so that's Carson. Police arrested Carson in connection with the murder of Lily, 10 years old. Okay. His eyes kind of haunt me, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, the smirk. But it is a picture and he is 14, but just knowing what he did and looking at it makes it look a whole lot different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Those eyes are pretty. That kind of haunts me. I'm not going to lie.
Mm.
All right, there's our cute little Lily. Beautiful, beautiful girl. Okay, so it goes again. In court, prosecutors said Petersberger planned to rape and kill the victim from the get-go when he left the house with the victim to go down the trail. All right, right there again. Excuse me, I had to sneeze.
That's cute.
There it is again. He's telling them his own words. This was his plan from the get-go when he left the house with the victim to go down the trail. Did nobody honestly see him leave the house with her? I'm not going to get off this for a while. I know it's going to be explained later, but come on. Lily's father, Alex Peters, 43, reported his daughter missing at 9 p.m. on Sunday when she failed to return home from visiting her aunt. Lily, who lived less than a half a mile from her aunt's home, was discovered lying a little way off a bike trail on Monday morning. Locals in Chippewa Falls said she was often seen cycling down the path on her bike, which was found close to her body. Oh, God.
Jeez.
And it was near this brewery, it says, which sits on the bank of Star Lake.
I'm sure they've got video of a lot. If it was, from that brewery, or they may have the whole thing. We don't know.
I don't know. Robin said he told because he was proud. Yeah, didn't even deny it. That was his plan from the get-go when he walked her out of the house. Again, I'm asking again, how did his mom and the mom's boyfriend, unless they weren't home, not know that he left with her? Because again, going back to last Monday up until, Tuesday, up until he was arrested, every report was she left alone.
But even so, after the story comes out, let's say his parents or his mom and the boyfriend weren't home after it comes out, they would be asking, knowing that she came over, the kids, hey, did you see her leave? There's the questions start coming, regardless.
You would think, what time did she leave? Did anybody go with her? You would think, let's just say they weren't home.
That's what I would be doing.
I mean, and how big is the house? You know that you have a guest leaving. I mean, I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't get, because this was what was reported to the news, that she left alone. Where was your son during this time? This is not this is not a normal night. This is the night when your niece went missing. You would want to know everything. All right, so it says police tape at the entrance to the wooded area where the body was discovered on Monday morning. Oh, it's sad.
Yeah.
Okay. Carson Petersberger, 14, is the son of a convicted pedophile. It gets better, guys. Adam Berger, 37, spent 3 years in jail after being caught with a stash of pornographic images of prepubescent girls on his phone.
Gross.
And if what I'm being told is correct, Carson actually lived with his father up until the age of 8. And then I'm assuming that's when this happened, and he went to his mom's house.
Well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, in a way.
This will be brought up in his defense. This will be brought up. I don't know if it's going to hold any water with the judge or jury, but it's going to be brought up.
Like, look how he was raised, yada, yada, yada. It wasn't his fault. No. I know a lot of victims of that, and they don't go out and do stuff like that.
The next article, the next paragraph, I am not going to read that. If you can see it on the screen, if not, you can read. I'm not reading it out loud. It's basically describing the pictures that Adam had on his computer. Adam is Carson's dad. All of the revolting pictures focused on the children's genitalia, according to court papers. He also had drug paraphernalia, including 4 crack pipes in his home. So that's Adam and Carson. And Carson was little. Cute kid. Okay. Adam Berger is currently living in a halfway house in Eau Claire after being released from Oshkosh Correctional Institution in April of 2021. So he's just been released for a year.
He didn't serve that long at all.
They said 3 years, and now he's in a halfway house. He remains on supervised probation and is on the sex offender registry. He and his lawyers had opposed extended probation because he would not have had unsupervised visits with his son, who he describes in a letter as being the best of me. How do you describe those pictures on your computer while you were taking care of the best of you?
Right.
Other letters filed in support of his bid to regain unsupervised contact with his son described an unhappy child who never smiled and looked miserable in the company of his mother, Lori Davis, 45. When Berger was sent to jail in May 2018, Berger's life was shattered, according to his grandmother, Mary, and family friend, Katie. His grandmother said Carson has not been very happy with his father being gone. Too bad, Granny. Your son's a pedophile. Then you do something for your grandson. Your son is a pedophile.
Make sure he's okay, not your son. See, I have a hard time believing that no one knew he was like the way he was. I don't know. I know these people can hide that kind of stuff, but no.
Well, Betty put it in a nutshell. She said that's why the best of him is in jail for murder now. Boom. Yeah.
That mic drop that. Yeah. You mean he got the worst of you?
I cannot believe this. His grandmother said Carson has not been very happy with his father being gone. Lady, you're part of the problem.
Yeah. We see where that started.
Weathers accused Davis of being a bad mother, saying we have seen him out and about with his mom and he never looks happy. Well, maybe he's not happy because I'm sure there's a lot of scrutiny that goes along with your father being in jail. I'm sure that the kids weren't very nice to him. He doesn't smile. He's always quiet and just looks at the ground and doesn't talk. Now, I did hear that from another lady who's local. Her son went to school with Carson. Carson's not in school right now. And she said he was extremely quiet. She said this wasn't like, people weren't like, oh yeah, I could see that kid doing that, basically.
Right.
She also accused Davis of trying to limit his contact with Berger's friends and family. Good call, Mom. Good call.
Yeah.
Because you have an enabling grandmother who doesn't feel that her son should be in jail for having pornographic images on his computer of children. And I'm going to stop right there. All right. The 14-year-old is the product of a brief relationship between Berger and Davis, who is the sister of Lily's father, Alex Peters. So that's the letter. Like I said, I'm going to put this link up. That's the criminal complaint, which, by the way, is gruesome when they describe the images. I'm not going to read it, but I'll put the link up and you guys can read it for yourself. Davis, who is now in a relationship with convicted fraudster John Repetto, lives in the Chippewa Falls home where Lily was last seen with Peters Berger. Well, I'm glad the Daily Mail is saying she was last seen with him because everybody else seemed to miss that.
They must, yeah, that's saying something, unless they're just guessing. I don't know. That's kind of telling to me. But they don't always get it right either, though.
Well, I mean, it's obvious she was last seen with him because that was his confession. He left with her. It's a pretty easy assumption to put together.
Somebody knew that.
Yeah, Carson. He told him. Carson told him. Nobody else did, except for the guy on Reddit that said he saw her with an older kid. The white clapboard property was sealed off with crime scene tape when DailyMail.com visited on Wednesday and was protected by 2 police vehicles. Davis and Berger split when their son was 2 and appeared to have an acrimonious relationship with Davis, and he sued her for child support in 2010. In 2017, before Berger was convicted of child porn offenses, but after he had been arrested and charged, Davis called the police over an incident where he drove his car at her. Great guy.
Wow.
Although not allowed solo contact with his son, who was then aged 8, the charging papers say they were in the vehicle together. Wonder why he was with him if he wasn't supposed to be.
Right.
Davis said she first noticed a suspicious car lurking in the alleyway behind her home and followed the vehicle before it pulled over into a random driveway. After Peters Berger got out, which is Carson, they just need to start using first names. It gets too confusing. Berger, who was Adam, then reversed into Davis, who then attempted to stop him leaving. She said he then drove the car at her, leaving her injured when she rolled off the hood and ended up on the ground. That's kind of a big crime in itself.
Yes.
Was he charged with this? I haven't heard about this.
Vehicular assault, or whatever that's called. Assault with a vehicle?
I don't know. I call it attempted murder in my world.
That too.
Okay, so when Adam was sent to jail, all physical contact ceased, but in a jailhouse letter, Adam said he emailed with his son daily, spoke to him regularly while he was with his grandmother, and mailed him a crochet blanket he had made in prison. What is wrong with Grandma? What is wrong with Grandma?
She thinks her son does nothing wrong. She's in denial. She's the problem. And she's probably enabled him his whole life.
Oh, my God.
Ugh.
No, you're right, good grandma. A vehicle is a weapon. Sarah said his father probably shared his sickening content on his phone with him, and his mother most likely didn't allow that in her home as to why he disliked his mom. Yeah, I have a feeling that a lot of freedoms were taken from him when he went to his mom's house, considering what was going on. I'm sure her ex-mother-in-law didn't make life too easy for her, considering she's telling the Daily Mail how upset he was that his dad went to jail. You should be upset that your son is a pedo.
I mean, he might have been sharing these images with his son. You
That's
know,
what I'm
like,
wondering. He could have been sharing that.
yeah, like, hey, you're 13 now, you're 14 now, it's time you become a man or something. You know what I mean? Like, in a sick way.
Well, he's a sick person.
Ugh.
Well, he's a sick person because when they
Yeah.
described the pictures, I was reading that,
Hmm.
and like I said, I didn't read it out loud. You can read it for yourself. It's disgusting. He even superimposed his face on some images, like to put.
Oh no.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that bad.
Okay, so the grandma was letting her son talk to the grandson. Bad move, grandma. Bad move, grandma. All right, so here it shows, okay, Lily Peters' aunt's house. Lily's body found on a hiking trail last Monday. Really not that far. Everything looks smaller
No.
on a map. So he didn't get too far away with her until he did this. That's extremely brazen.
He was ready.
It had to have been daylight. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, I was in Wisconsin that Sunday night. I mean, I want to say the
Whoa.
sun set around 8:30. The dad called at 9 o'clock. I mean, all right, there's the aunt's house.
That doesn't look big at all. I mean, that's just one corner, but
Yeah, I looked it up on Google Earth. It's not a big house where you wouldn't notice. You'd hear your front door opening and shutting. Let me put it that way.
if they were there, they knew he left.
Unless they weren't there, I don't know. Just me had a good point. He could have already been outside and like waiting down the street for her or something. But then you go off of what he said that he left with her.
Mm-hmm. So we got that. He left with her. We just don't know if mom knew or not, or were they there or not.
Well, we're going to try to assume that mom and boyfriend didn't know he left with her, because we do know, and the articles are still readily available. You can just Google them. Last week, everything was reported that Lily left alone. It was never that she left with her cousin. It wouldn't have taken
They had
till
to have asked him. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Okay, so there's the house. I wonder where Lori and John and the other kids are living now, because you know they're not living there. It's all taped off. Not that I'm going to go visit or anything. I certainly don't want to put out there. All right, so there's Carson. Looks like he's got some Halloween makeup on. This grandmother, here it is again. When Berger was sent to jail in May of 2018, Carson's life was shattered, according to his grandmother Mary and family friend Katie. Thanks, Katie. His grandmother said Carson has not been very happy with his father being gone. Look, Grandma, he's not just gone. He's in jail for possessing child porn. Your grandson is a child. What do you mean being gone? He's not in the military. He didn't go to Afghanistan. You know where he's at.
He's not dead.
You're part of the problem, Grandma.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Like he could do no wrong. You know, one of those people, one of those moms.
All right, so here's the house again. It's a better picture of it. All right, well, maybe Lori and John were upstairs. And Carson and Lily were downstairs and they walked out. Still, I think there should have been a conversation. Somebody would have noticed that kid being gone. And like I said, this is not a normal Sunday night where he's playing with his friends or he's riding his bike, shooting hoops, whatever. This is the night when your niece is reported missing. 911 calls are made. Police are out. Dogs are out. No.
And then you got to look at the timeline of when he did this and when he came home. If they were there, they knew he was gone and came home. So there's two. If they were there, that they knew he wasn't there for a period of time. So obviously, law enforcement contacted them and said, hey, we know she went to the house. Did she leave on her own?
And they obviously were told she left alone. That's what every media outlet said.
Right.
Nothing there. I can't find anything. If you guys find it, please send it to me. I can't find anything saying that she left with him. So let's say they just did not notice him leaving with her, that the other kids said nothing, that Carson left with Lily. Okay. Did they not notice him coming back home?
Yes, that's my point. And and what time it was?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, where you been? Where you running off to? Like, what's on your clothes? Or did he shoot towards his bedroom? Or
yeah, I mean, and then he could have come home and just flat out lied to him and said, no, I've been at a friend's house.
That's true too.
I don't know. I mean, it would freak me out. I'm telling you, it would freak me out. Okay. He said he dreamed of a future with his son, adding that he wanted unsupervised contact with his son because he is not a victim of my offense. He is a victim of your offense.
Yeah,
he
he
added,
is.
my son is the best part of me. The motion was denied, and it is unclear whether Berger has seen his son since his release on extended supervision in April of last year. Well, I don't know. I don't know if he has seen him or been in contact with him. My guess is going to be yes, because grandma's going to make that happen.
Oh, yeah.
We already read in the article that she made it happen before when he was in jail. I agree. He had that blood on his clothes. This is a very, very violent crime. He had to have something on him.
I mean, so bad that law enforcement, they were choked up bad. Really bad.
Really bad. I'm going to put the link up real quick. If anybody wants to come up and discuss this, I agree. They won't give an essay sole contact. No. He wants unsupervised visits. Why do you have to have unsupervised? Why?
Yeah.
Why? Katrina said the sister saw him coming home and went to bed. So it could be that Lori and John had absolutely no idea that he left with her. I don't get it. I pay more attention at my house, but that's my house, okay? I mean,
my kids. Like if one of my kids is gone,
walking out my door.
Yeah. And one of them comes back, hey, where have you been? Or, oh, I was outside playing basketball. Like, I don't know. I've got nosy kids. I'm nosy, but they get it from me, but that's just at my house.
Robbie said, do we know he had blood on his clothes? I don't see how he couldn't have something on him. I mean, they took out tons of boxes of evidence out of that house. Because, I mean, what he did was, it's gruesome. It's horrific.
Mm-hmm.
I would think he'd have to have something on him. But no, I don't know that he had blood on his clothes. Where's Summer? 1-800-TBI Fine said nobody was watching none of those kids. I'm beginning to believe that.
Yeah.
Diane, is it true that he had previously threatened her? I've heard yes and I've heard no. If it turns out that he really did threaten her a couple of years, not cool. Not cool.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Robbie, didn't he strangle her? He strangled her. He punched her in the stomach. Blunt force trauma, which obviously she would bleed from. And then, of course, we know what happened after she passed away. There was blood involved. Let me just put it that way. Lone Wolf's backstage. Hi, Lone Wolf.
Hey.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Lone Wolf.
Hello. Oh man, this case.
It's horrific.
This is one of these cases where you have to try to separate your emotions.
You can't.
To try to understand and connect all the dots. Uh, Ever since, as far as the information that I found out, and I mean, I knew eventually it would be brought out, but I tried to protect you, Brooks. But man, I'm fighting both rage and try as far as uh there is me personally, Carson isn't the only suspect.
He was alone with her. He was alone with her. So I mean,
yeah, but I'm using the DC sniper case as the basis, like with Lee Malvo. Okay, he was a vulnerable teenager that was befriended by a psychotic adult.
So you're saying that an adult encouraged him to do this, because everything I'm reading is this was his plan.
Nah. Yes, and an adult is responsible
For
and that
encouraging
would be
him.
that would be the father.
Did he have contact with his father? Because we were just reading the article. They don't know if he's had contact, except for when the father was in jail. When he would go visit his grandmother would make sure he could talk to his father.
Yes. The father manipulated the system in order to stay in touch. There will be evidence there that can be found, except I don't know if the prosecutor will try to go beyond the fact that they have Carson, which, in order to get to the root core of this problem, using devil's advocate, we might have to get in touch as far as with Carson's attorneys to dig for that information.
Yeah, they're not going to tell my ass anything. You've heard people flat out hang up the phone on me.
Because the prosecutors aren't going to go any further than Carson.
But they have to have proof. I mean, all the phone calls, he's at a halfway house, are recorded to make sure he's not reaching out to children. I do think that there is something in his psyche being raised predominantly by his father till the age of 8 that has made him this way. I do. I'm sorry, I do.
I'll agree with that. Influential, maybe, from his past. I'll agree with that.
It all started around the age of 8. Okay, that is where see, everybody is thinking that the grandmother is talking about her son, but in reality, the grandmother is talking about Carson.
Well, she was saying that Carson has been having extreme issues, she said, since his father went away. And you heard me say, hang on, Grandma, he didn't just go away. He didn't move out of town for work. He didn't get deployed overseas. He's in jail for possessing child pornography. That's why I said she's part of the problem. She's enabling her adult son. See, all of this leads to what we're talking about right now and what happened to Lily.
Yeah, it's both the grandmother and the father. Okay, because when I say that the father manipulated the system, okay, you've got to look at the supervised custody, okay, as far as has to be supervised. Well, you can get around that supervision by going online, by email, by playing games, a game site, and getting in game chats.
Uh-huh. Well, see, the thing is, though, in the
Okay.
halfway house, he's not allowed any access to the internet. I don't know how he would get around that. So let me ask you this. Did he manipulate the system to get to his son or manipulate his own mother? His mother admits she let Carson speak with his father when he was in jail. He even sent him a crochet blanket he made in the big house.
He manipulated the system to have contact with Carson through
his
email.
mother. Through his mother. And you're right.
Yeah.
How did they not know he was emailing his? I'm sure he was emailing his mother and she was showing it to Carson.
No, he was emailing Carson directly. You have to go back to the his letter to the judge.
I know, I read that. It was
the
sick.
letter to the judge. He said he was emailing his son directly.
Okay, I did not read that he was emailing his son directly. That is sick, and that should have never happened. And I'm telling you something else. When he went to jail for child pornography, grandma, mom, everybody involved with that child should have put him in therapy.
Absolutely.
And this is where there's a failure in the system.
Well, there's a failure in the damn pedo and his mama too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the reason why the vehicular, as far as when the woman got hit, and the fact that he was unsupervised with Carson in the car with him, all those charges got dropped in his plea agreement with the prosecutor for the child porn. Now, all those charges, even though they were dropped, they did a read-in, okay? A read-in is where charges that are dropped are read into court record for the judge's determination of the time and everything as far as that's involved. So the read-in is on record, but Carson's dad can never be recharged for being with Carson unsupervised. He can't be recharged for hitting the witness or anything like that. This is where I say there's a failure to the system because the prosecutor wants a guilty plea of the most serious crime, which is the child porn.
But he only served 3 years. He only served 3 years. Had they picked up attempted murder for trying to hit Lori with the car, the freak could have been in jail for a long time, not just 3 years. Then at a halfway house, petitioning for
I understand that.
It's sick.
But the prosecutor was looking at the registering as far as a sex offender and everything. They didn't care about the attempted as far as they didn't care about Carson being in the car unsupervised. They didn't care about Laurie as far as being hit by the vehicle.
I don't think they believed the story because, as we see, this DA is no joke. That chief of police is no joke. I don't think they believed the story. There obviously is a hole in that story. because him trying to hit her with the car, I think would have been dealt with.
Yeah.
That's
Or
what I
they
think.
didn't have proof or something. You know,
And
enough proof.
they said
Well,
it over and over. They had a very
there would have
acrimonious relationship.
Yeah.
there would have been damage as far as on the car, but
Mhm.
even regardless, okay, take Jeffrey Epstein down in Florida. Okay, the prosecutor made a plea deal with as far as Jeffrey Epstein, and didn't even care about the victims. That was well known, and this is just another case where a prosecutor does not confer as far as with the victims.
Mhm. Or they feel like they can't put it in front of a jury because there's holes in the story. So, okay,
Right.
so Lori and Adam obviously had a very, like they said, acrimonious relationship. Grandma is the ultimate enabler. You heard her talking about her son who was in jail. I mean, making it sound like he was some sort of victim or something. Now here we are talking about a violent, horrific crime committed by Carson against Lily. I think we can put this together easily. And all of this about his father is going to be used in his defense. I just really hope that that jury is smarter than that.
I hope so
Well,
too.
if I mean, don't get me wrong, okay? Carson, okay, he was used as a pawn. I feel he was used as a pawn as far as to get back at the family. It's easy to manipulate a victim, a child. Okay, you're going. This is going to end up being like the worst case of parental alienation. You have to put all these different factors into play in order to understand what made this kid do this horrific, revengeful to the family.
To the family, to his cousin. And I do believe that there was definitely some parental alienation going on both sides. Adam used Carson as a pawn. And then when he went to jail, Lori certainly kept him away from Adam, which she should. I wonder if she knows with these articles coming out that when he would go to visit his paternal grandmother, she was allowing him to talk to his father.
I don't think she knew.
The grandmother was also allowing, and it wasn't just the grandmother, it was a friend of the family too.
Yeah, Katie. Katie's been talking a lot.
Okay. They were actually allowing Carson's father to have physical visitation.
Well, and I'm just going to say this. I'm never here to force my opinion on anybody, but I am going to say this. I honestly am sick over what this kid did. I believe he premeditated this himself. Whatever's going on in his head, I'm sure it came from childhood trauma. I'm sure it did. But nobody planned this for him. Nobody told him what to do. I mean, I will say there's a lot of adults that weren't paying attention to the point they didn't even know that he had left with her. We're going to assume right now until it comes out later. He planned this. He wanted to do this. And that's all there is to it. Nobody forces anyone to do anything.
I'm going to second your opinion. Everything you just said, 100%. That's what I think.
There's no excuse for this kid, and they're going to find every excuse they can because of his age, because of his upbringing with his father. We know
Mhm.
grandma's an enabler. No, and I'm again, there's a lot of people that have suffered childhood trauma. They don't do this. There's something
That's what
else
I
going on with
right.
this kid, and he's going to have a lot of psychological evaluations.
It's about accountability, and we've got to start holding people accountable for what they do and not what has happened to them in their past. I have lots of trauma in my past, but I don't go out and do crazy things like this. So
No, he knows right from wrong. He knows right
right,
from wrong. He
right,
knows.
exactly.
When he said to
Accountability.
the police, this was planned from the get-go. I would like to know if his mom was in the room where she could hear this or what. I mean, the shock on her face, did she even know that he left with her? I have a hard time believing she didn't know that he left with Lily or the other siblings or her boyfriend. Somebody in that house. It's not like it was just her alone with them. Somebody in
Right.
that house had to have known that he left with her. I don't know. I don't know.
And that he was gone and he came back at a certain time after so long too. You know, him coming back home. That's
Yeah.
a big one too.
And like I said, this is not a regular night. This is the night that Lily went missing. You would want to know anything that was going on at your own home, considering she left from your home to go back to hers. Lily is the victim here. Carson is not.
Exactly.
Carson is not the victim here. Sorry.
Nope.
Sorry he has a pedo dad, an enabler grandmother. I'm sorry about that. He's not the victim. He's not. Okay, so before I shut this down, I'm going to read a message from Lily's mom. Her name is Jennifer.
Okay.
She said, if you could let everyone know that I don't have a comment right now, but I just want the world to know that if what they want is justice for my daughter, then the best way to honor her would be to embody kindness, for she was love. We need for everyone's loudest language to be love. And I totally see what she's saying, because I know she's feeling a lot of heat online. Nothing but love for Lily, the kids involved, except Carson, her dad, her mom, her grandparents. Carson, no. Carson's dad, Carson's grandma, and I mean on his paternal side, no,
Right.
no.
Wow.
Dee Dee's Crafty Creations. The last place Lily was at their house. Someone watched them leave, and they knew Carson left too. Somebody in that house knew.
That's what I think.
Knew. It was a busy house. Somebody knew.
And knew he was gone for quite a while.
Somebody had to have known in that house that he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, this is not a normal night. This is the night that Lily went missing. That's the night. So we're going to cover Lily again on Thursday or maybe Friday morning. I don't know. It depends on what's going on, because Carson has another court hearing on Thursday. Thursday would be May 5th.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
it's a status hearing.
yeah, but then I heard he's getting assigned an attorney. So I don't know what's going on. We'll find out on Thursday.
Yeah.
We've got a public defender right now.
He does, but they're assigning another attorney. I don't know what's going on. So we'll find out on Thursday. And of course, we'll come together and we'll discuss it, because this case with Lily has got me. Whew.
Yeah.
When kids kill, especially his cousin.
The amount of rage is it's just, I can't separate my emotions as far as for this case. Knowing what he did even after she was dead, it's so mind-boggling that it's just.
Yeah, you already killed her. Why did you have to defame her like that?
But he said, with those hollow eyes, He said to the detectives, and imagine being these grown adults talking to this kid. He's a kid, not a victim. I'm just saying he's a kid. That was his plan from the get-go.
So sad.
How could anyone sympathize with him? How?
Like I said, there are 3 stages of things as far as that can happen to a victim. And he took the 3rd one.
I do think we would have had a different outcome. You guys correct me if you don't think this. When the dad went to jail for child porn, if mom, grandma, whoever would have put that kid in therapy, I think we would have had a different outcome.
We would have.
Yeah, we would have.
And anyone that says, how do you know he didn't go to therapy? I'm telling you right now, he didn't go to therapy. I'm not going to say how I know it, but he did not. He was never given therapy after that.
He should have, and if he was, he should have still been in therapy. This is almost, I'm not going to say lifelong, but as a child, that kind of stuff takes years of therapy.
Oh, he's not getting out of this. There's no change in this. It's too far gone. It's too manifested. Thomas, he was proud of what he did. That's why he confessed. Yeah, he did. Listen to what he said to him. He was very matter of fact. He said from the get-go. From the get-go. That was his plan. He planned it. He planned it. He planned it. I don't know how he got her. I don't know how he got her to the house, if he invited her over or what, but he, in his words, his plan.
Yep.
Well, it was a routine of Lily going over there because of her cousins.
Yeah, and so maybe he knew that she was there on most Sunday afternoons because she played with her cousins and stuff. And here we were talking, I guess, I don't know if it was Monday.
It's the opportunity.
He knew.
The opportunity is there.
Yeah,
already.
His plan. It was his plan. That's his words. I'm not putting words in his mouth. Those are his words. His plan from the get-go.
Right.
Sick. Hell, I mean, Ted Bundy wasn't that brazen.
I can guarantee you that there were signs at least a year going back.
That's what I said.
I thought so too, and everything that I've been told by people that know them say that he was just a shy kid.
My kid's shy out in public, not with his friends, but at home, he's like a totally different kid, really outgoing. So even the quiet ones, there's some sort of signs, especially living with his dad. There's a reason for that.
He started showing signs of suicide over a month ago.
See, and I can't confirm that at all. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Savage said, and I this makes sense. I think that is why they are not wanting to show his face, to not give him the recognition he was wanting for what he did. That could be.
That's true.
Robin said therapy would not help this type of person. I tend to agree with you.
But it might have given him pause. You know what I mean? If it was ongoing. We don't know. We'll never know. Unfortunately, we'll never know.
Or like Happy Haggis said, a wolf in sheep's clothing. You don't know. They say to always watch the quiet ones. That's the reason I flap my gums all the time.
Right. Right. I just say rest in peace, Lily.
Man, I mean, just imagine thinking her cousin's walking her home. Well, guys,
she's not in danger.
I think she should still be alive. That's for sure.
Yes.
Sick, absolutely sick. And again, I want to know, I understand he's under 18. What about all these school shooters? They show them. It doesn't take them 24 hours to put their name and pictures out there. And I just, in this case, I think it's become dangerous. We know his identity now because other kids were being blamed. I was given 3 or 4 names and none of them were Carson. That's not cool.
That's
What would you
sad.
like if your son was accused of this?
Those kids might have to have therapy now over that. You know what I mean? That's traumatizing.
You've got collateral damage in this case, and everybody that has been falsely accused will also need therapy because that's childhood trauma.
You better believe it is. I mean, this is I mean,
okay, but I can understand, okay, from a legal perspective of why they were trying to protect him, as far as it's not so much as far as protecting him, but it's given him the satisfaction of what he's already been brazen about.
That's what Savage was saying too. You know, don't give him the notoriety that he wants. I mean, it was almost like he was bragging to the detectives. I mean, the DA said, he was like, that was his plan from the get-go. And Beautiful Chaos, love that name, by the way, put her comment up. She said, they showed Aiden Fucci, or Fauci, however you say his name. Yeah, they did. That didn't take long. There's other cases of kids that kill kids, and they've showed them. I guess they don't want to give him the notoriety. Well, he's got it either way.
Yeah, he does.
He's got it either way. Oh, boy. We're going to continue discussing this case either Thursday or Friday morning. I don't know yet, depending on what I've got going on. I'm going to be back today in about an hour and a half. We're going to discuss the inmate in Alabama that was basically broke out of jail by an officer there. It's the weirdest thing. So
heard that one.
Yeah, I know. So noon Central Time. So you guys set your alarm and come back in an hour and a half, okay? Lone Wolf, thanks for coming up as always.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Brooks.
Thank you, my friend. Shannon, thank you as always. You always have great points and great insight.
Oh, thank you. Love you all. Thank you so much.
You the best. Oh, I hit the wrong button. I put Lone Wolf back up. All right, guys, be back here at noon Central. Actually, I'm hoping Savage can come up for a little bit because I'm kind of comparing this case to a warden's wife in Oklahoma who did the same thing. So come back at noon. We're discussing the inmate escape and the officer that helped him. As always, thanks for the awesome conversation. I love having my morning coffee with you guys. You're the best chat and best community on YouTube, for sure. A few people have sent me some emails wanting to come into Discord. Absolutely wonderful. Just make sure you tell me who you are on YouTube, because sometimes I don't know. So please do that. So I will see you back here at noon Central. You guys are the best. Bye-bye.